Hi, everybody. My name is Martin Willemink. I'm co-founder and CEO at SecMed, and welcome to a new Bytes of Innovation webinar. At Bytes of Innovation, we provide a deep dive into the future of medicine. And we do this with renowned experts such as researchers, physicians, investors, and lawyers. We do it every other Thursday, so we'll have one today, we'll have one in 2 weeks, and so on. The concept is there is a 15-minute presentation by the expert, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A, which is moderated by Aline Lutz, who is our Senior Medical Director at SecMed, and by me. So all participants, make sure to put your questions in the chat box so that Aline and I can discuss them with our presenter after the presentation. So today I am proud to announce that we have Erik Ranschaert amongst us. And now I need to, I scrolled up to answer a question for Erik, but now I lost his bio. We'll cut this out for the YouTube recording. Okay, there we go. So Erik, he graduated cum laude in medicine at the University of Leuven, and he obtained his radiology certification at the same university in Belgium. He later obtained his PhD degree at the University of Antwerp, which is also in Belgium. He is the past president of the European Society of Imaging Informatics, which is a subspecialty society affiliated with the European Society of Radiology. And given his experience and knowledge of the healthcare and the AI market, he is a medical advisor to several AI startups and other companies. And he's also a visiting professor at Ghent University's Faculty of Medicine. And today, Erik is going to talk about obtaining efficiency in AI with radiology. Erik, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for this kind introduction, Martin. I will now share my screen. I hope you can see it.
Not yet.
Not yet? Oh. What else can I do now? Oh yeah, I have to make a selection maybe. Share. Now?
Yes, now we can see it.
All right. So this is the first slide. And some disclosures I have to make, some companies that I'm advising for. Now, first of all, I would like to say a few words about the reasons for integrating AI. Why should you do this? And yeah, there's several arguments to do it. I think for AI tools to become integrated into routine clinical practice, that's what it's about actually. Well, these tools should add some value to patient care, and this can be done in different ways. So adding value can be done by either improving the quality of the services without increasing the costs, or it can be done by reducing the costs without changing the quality, of course, or it can be done by both reducing costs and improving quality. So these are the basic elements of increasing value. Now, what are the goals to be pursued to increase value or to obtain this goal? Well, there's several things we can do. Let's call it maybe sub-goals. One of them could be to make the workflow more efficient. For example, also creating shorter reading times of radiological examinations. Early detection of diseases can be an element of this, can be a sub-goal. Reduction of contrast injection or radiation dose, improving the diagnostic accuracy is also a goal that should be perceived in increasing value, and obtaining personalized diagnostics, which is already a step ahead. But I would categorize the first two, the efficient workflow and the shorter reading time, as elements to increase efficiency. And maybe also prioritization could be part of that, because the efficiency improvement can be achieved by AI with tools facilitating prioritization of examinations, which could also allow early detection of disease and reduction of the total reading time of examinations. So it's all, let's say, a mix of these elements, and it's, I think, mainly about efficiency improvement. This is also what I'm going to address in this presentation, how to do this with AI. So let's say a few words about the radiology workflow. How does it look like today and what are the issues? Well, most radiologists are confronted with an increasing amount of data. The current modalities, they produce a lot more data than, let's say, 10 years ago. And we also are confronted with much more data coming from other elements, such as the electronic patient record. We also are confronted with an increasing disease complexity. So the broad disease categories are a thing of the past. Now we are more confronted with fine-grained disease variants, and these are the key for effective treatment decisions. So including this, there's also a growing demand for quantitative analysis of data, so which means that radiology and analysis of images becomes more demanding. And last but not least, we are confronted with an increasing workload. So the radiologist's workload is increasing rapidly, and the number of available radiologists cannot meet this demand. And maybe this should also be mentioned, the rate of missed, incorrect, or delayed diagnosis is estimated at about 10 to 15%. I will give you an example of how the workload is increasing. This comes from a publication in Insights into Imaging 2 years ago. So this shows the temporal trend of on-call studies of the years 2006 through 2020, and you can see a steady growth here. This is brain CT, for example. That's the upper line. CT studies that increased by more than 500% in that period were CT for head trauma, brain CTA, brain CTV, chest CT, spinal CT, neck CT, pelvic CT, and CT for suspected aortic dissection. And this is very striking. I think the CT chest for pulmonary embolism even increased by 1,360%, and spinal CT with 1,720%. So we have to look for solutions, and solutions should be sought to maintain acceptable workload levels. So the question is here, can AI help us? And what do radiologists expect from AI? What do vendors promise with AI? And what evidence do we have? This is what I'm going to talk about in the coming slides. So what do radiologists expect? There has been results of the survey have been published, a survey of 2018. It's called the Euro-AIM survey, and it was conducted among the members of the European Society of Radiology. And what the result of this survey shows that only a small majority of respondents had the expectation that AI could reduce radiologists' workload. Actually, you can see here that there is some kind of a conflict in the expectations. A majority expected that AI will have an impact on the total reporting workload, but only 51% expects a reduced reporting workload, and almost 50% expects the opposite scenario. What was also said in this publication is that there is a speculation that AI will decrease workload, but it has not yet been supported by evidence, and this is actually crucial. So the effect of AI on the future workload remains unclear. That's what's said in this publication. Now, what do vendors promise, and how do they legitimize it? This is some example of a slide or something that you can find on the internet. So it says AI improves the entire radiology workflow from acquisition to prognosis, really all elements, acquisition and even treatment prognosis. And then another website shows this: increase hospital efficiency and improve patient outcomes. And then there's another example where also organized by another company, where they say, how can you reduce burnout and improve efficiency with AI-driven workflows? So this is actually to give you some idea about what AI vendors are promising. This has also been analyzed. So the question in this study was, how do providers of AI solutions propose and legitimize the values of their solutions for supporting the diagnostic radiology workflow? And what you can see here is that most companies do try to participate in scientific work to show what they can offer, but the amount of scientific efforts is kind of relatively small in comparison with the other efforts that they are making. For example, also partnerships are used to legitimize their knowledge and their efforts. So there's different elements, but the scientific part, the evidence is rather limited. Now, what is concluded from this study? Systematic evidence showing the performance and effectiveness of these solutions on the user side, such as clear evidence on the reduction of time or costs or increasing the quality, is limited. And future research is needed to extend our study to include the upcoming AI solutions and companies, as well as examining how the existing ones evolve. Now, I went to the literature and did some research and was looking for evidence that exists in clinical practice. So let's discuss a few examples. First of all, there's this very interesting publication from the European Society of Radiology again, in which they analyzed the existing practical experience with AI in clinical radiology. This is actually also based on a survey with 276 radiologists from 229 institutions in 32 countries, which is, I think, quite relevant. And this is one of the results. So they asked what the experience is of the respondents with AI-based algorithms for clinical diagnostic interpretive tasks. Have the algorithms proven to be helpful in reducing the workload for the medical staff? And a lot of respondents, well, you can see here, 23% says yes, and 70% says no, which is quite a lot. So only a minority of users experience a reduction of the workload of the radiologists. And then they also asked if they had the intention to acquire a certified AI-based algorithm in clinical practice. And a lot of them said no, because it has no additional value. And almost 27% says, well, it does not perform as well as advertised. And a lot of them, also 23%, says it adds too much workload. Now, here are the practical examples that I found. And one publication is very recent. It was done, it's a retrospective multi-center cohort study from Boston with an algorithm called LUNET, that's for chest X-ray analysis. And the algorithm produces a heat map and the image level probability score of the presence of a lesion. And well, by using this software, the reporting time was 10% lower than without AI. So, which means that there was a gain of about 4 seconds per examination, 4 seconds. Now, this is how the result of the AI analysis looks like. It's a heat map here, and then you can see pneumothorax on the left side with a probability of 81 to 100%. This is the type of information the radiologist obtained. Now, what they said in this publication is, for now, it's clear that an algorithm can improve accuracy and efficiency for radiologists interpreting abnormalities in chest X-rays, but the reading time was only improved for radiology residents, and neither attending radiologist improved their reading efforts, their reading efficiency with AI. Another example is this one. It's about fracture detection and also retrospective study on almost 500 patients. Well, it showed that there was a 10% improvement of fracture detection sensitivity, and the AI assistance shortened the reading time by 6.3 seconds per patient. So that's a little gain in efficiency. Another publication, well, it's not really published yet, it's preliminary, but that's about analysis of CT of the brain. The interpretation time here was reduced with 11%. So it went from 236 seconds to 210 seconds on the average. This is also an interesting publication, very recent, also in 2022, analysis of chest CT scans, retrospective study. In this study, an algorithm was used to, which offers a content-based image retrieval system on the interpretation of chest CT scans for patients with diffuse parenchymal lung disease. So here they showed that the average reading time was 31% shorter and even 35% for senior radiologists, so which is quite significant though. And this is how the result looks like. So first, the radiologist initiates the search by putting region of interest on the scan. Then a heat map visualizes and quantifies the distribution of one of the selectable lung patterns. And then a similar image, similar cases based upon the 3 most predominant patterns in the region of interest are shown here, arranged according to High's lung pattern classification probability. And then they can go into depth in more by selecting one of these patterns, and they can even look in literature how it looks like. So that's the way the results are being presented. The last one that I would like to show you is an example of, this is totally different. It's not about analysis of images, but it's about execution of brain MRI. And you can see here that the study performed with 6 scanners in 5 institutions showed a 60% sequence scan time reduction while maintaining high volumetric quantification accuracy. And the radiologists even perceived a superior image quality compared with standard of care. So this algorithm was simply used to reduce the scan time, and it also improved the image quality. So this is really some efficiency gain, I would say. And now to conclude, what is the business case for AI? How can we obtain a return on investment? And I can just tell you, everyone is still searching for the right business model for AI. This is analysis from KPMG, and they said that in their study that almost 50% of the applications they analyzed, business cases or value propositions are missing. What I think is that there are 4 key value elements for building a business case. First of all, it's the clinical element. So one should ask himself or herself, what is the impact of the AI on the workflow? What's the impact on the efficiency, on the quality of care, and on the radiologist's confidence? So this could be part of a KPI list that one makes when implementing a solution. Another key value element is the integration, the IT element. How can we integrate this solution into the existing workstation and into the existing system? How is the interoperability? What is the complexity associated with testing and deploying the algorithm? This is really valuable or relevant because this can also increase the costs of the implementation if it's not working very well. Then the other key value element is the administrative one. So what are the operational efficiencies in terms of productivity and capacity and quality assurance, and even in reporting? How does it facilitate our reporting? How are the results included in our reports? And then the financial one should not be neglected, of course. So what are the improvements in the cost savings and in the revenue generation that we can obtain by implementing this solution? So yes, I think the end result is important. And basically it comes down to the fact that putting an algorithm into use must be able either to deliver better quality care at the same cost or reduce healthcare costs, or both. And I think that improving the health outcome should remain the ultimate goal. Well, I thank you for your attention. And so maybe now we can continue with the questions.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Erik. It was a great presentation. It's interesting to learn more about the reading time and how AI can affect that. You know that I'm an ophthalmologist, and a few studies that we have in ophthalmology, some of them have shown that the algorithm in the clinical setting could actually increase the reading time, because the ophthalmologist would look at the heat maps, and then without the heat maps, and it took longer to read an image than without the algorithm. Yeah. So it's all very interesting. So do you think, based on that, as you said, there are maybe conflicting results, and it's not yet proven that it would affect the productivity of the radiologist? So do you think that we should shift focus more to being as a screening tool that could reduce time for treatment or something like that?
Yeah, well, one of the things I learned from implementing AI is that it could help us in different ways. Most of radiologists are now using it to analyze images and to see if there's any abnormalities and what kind of abnormalities, but you could also use it differently. For example, by allowing the software to eliminate all the normal ones. For example, if you had a large volume of, let's say, chest x-rays, and your software can eliminate or classify the normal ones as normal, then, I mean, this would already facilitate the workflow significantly, I think, but that's a totally different approach. That would be the same with ophthalmology, where I know there are centers where they do a lot of OCT scans of the retina, and so the ophthalmologists have to look at these scans, but you could also use the software to eliminate, or let's say to classify the normal ones as normal. So then these patients could be already reassured that there's nothing wrong, and then you could maybe focus on the other ones which are pathological. And this could be, that's a totally different approach. So that could be the way to use the algorithms. And maybe we have to look at it from a different way.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
It could be also, for example, the case for breast cancer. If we do a lot of breast screening, these are high volumes examinations. If we have algorithms that are reliably able to filter out the normal mammograms, then that would already help us with the workload, and that would decrease the bulk of examinations that radiologists have to examine. Same for lung cancer screening, for example. If you use it for eliminating the CT scans without any pulmonary nodule, that will already help.
Yeah. So researchers are usually looking for positive cases, but a great suggestion is to start with looking for the normal ones.
Right.
So we do have a few questions already in the chat. So Michelle is asking, so you mentioned earlier in your presentation that one of the major challenges is the increasing amount of data. So she asked, isn't this an opportunity for developing better AI?
Of course, to develop AI, we do need data, and that's absolutely one of the major challenges that we are confronted with. How can we obtain these data? I'm actually personally involved in a project to do this, and I'm really 100% aware of the necessity to do it. And but yeah, we still have to. First of all, you need a complete infrastructure to do that. You need the necessary tools to do that. You need collaboration from a lot of hospitals to do it. And there's still some hurdles that we have to take. And the vision should be, there should be a common vision at least to do this, to make this possible, because obtaining data is really necessary to develop more algorithms that we can use.
And Garth is asking if you see AI slowing down or accelerating despite the radiologist's skepticism. So what's your perspective for the long term?
Well, when talking with AI vendors, which I advise, I have the impression that we have obtained some kind of, let's say, tilting moment, which is going in the positive way. There has been a dip, but now we can see that AI implementation is increasing in many hospitals. So I think this is also based upon the increasing workload. Of course, we do have to find solutions, and this is a problem that we have to tackle. On the other hand, hospitals are looking at each other. They see, okay, these guys are using it, maybe we should start using it as well. Maybe there's also an element of competition in the market, you know, because the hospitals having AI solutions could attract more patients than hospitals not using it, etc. So there's several elements. I don't have a clear explanation, but I do have the impression that there is a slow increase, although it might be slower than expected originally.
Got it. That totally makes sense, Erik. And thanks again for a great presentation. It was very helpful, and we all learned a lot. We have more questions, but we are running out of time. So maybe I'll ask you one last question, and it is, at the end you said the ultimate goal is to improve, of course, the actual, like clinical outcome of the patient, right? But what is needed, because it seems like we're very far away from that. What do you think is needed to actually get there?
I think one of the main elements here is that we gain trust in using it, and that we also, well, obtain some more evidence that this is like a rolling ball. If you can create evidence that it is working and that it is efficient, then doctors will start using it. Of course, it's also a matter of awareness and knowledge. I mean, most radiologists or medical doctors implementing AI solutions are not completely, let's say, aware of the potential, and because they miss some kind of basic knowledge about it. And providing this basic knowledge, I think, is also quite essential to make this type of solutions to increase the implementation.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, thanks, Erik, and thanks everybody else for attending this Bytes of Innovation webinar. I think it was very interesting again, so great that all of you were here. In 2 weeks, we will have Kristen Yakimov. She was the Vice President of Product at Change Healthcare and has a bunch of knowledge around medical imaging, around cloud-based PACS systems. So we're going to learn a lot from her. So I hope that everybody's coming back in 2 weeks. And thanks again, everybody, for attending this Bytes of Innovation webinar.